Welcome to the Sisterhood Collective podcast, where we empower women to break barriers, overcome limiting beliefs, and achieve true success. I'm your host, Laurie Drummond, entrepreneur and founder of 5 successful businesses. Join me as I share proven strategies, interview inspirational leaders, and provide behind-the-scenes insights to help you level up in your business, career, and in life. Because together, we can get further faster. Okay, let's dive in. Today on the podcast, I've got someone who I know many of you will find super relatable and inspiring, Jess Richards. Not only is Jess an incredible Australian fitness influencer, but she's also someone who's grown up with a unique entrepreneurial flair, thanks to her dad's role on Shark Tank. But beyond the world of fitness and family connections, Jess is real, she's raw, and she's super passionate about staying true to who she is, even with thousands of eyes on her. Like many of us, she's faced the highs and lows of fitness journeys. She knows the pressures of being in the public eye. And again, like many of us, she's had her own moments of doubt and challenges. I think you'll really connect with her down-to-earth vibe, her honesty, and about juggling personal and professional life. And also her perspective on building confidence and resilience. Whether you're in a similar stage of working on your fitness or trying to find your own path, or simply looking for a bit of inspiration to stay authentic in a world where there are so many filters and followers, Jess is going to have some gems to share today. Jess, thank you so much for jumping in on our podcast today. You've built such an incredible presence in the fitness world, but I know there's always a deeper why behind what we do. So what originally inspired you to get into fitness, and how has that passion evolved over time?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. And I'm very, very excited for today's conversation and what we can dive into. So to go to my why, I love that's the start of the question, because I think there always, like you said, is that deeper reason. Yes, of course, being a fitness coach, you can, have that impact and transform lives and things like that. But to bring it back, my journey started, I know we've spoken about this prior on a podcast. I think we went into a little bit more depth on it, but just to recap for the new listeners. So my journey started when I was 14 and I had a horse riding accident. And for me, it was actually a near-death incident, which really did, I guess, throw a spanner in the works into life in general and really put things into perspective for me. So yeah, my journey didn't necessarily start in terms of, I want to, build a booty or get toned or have a transformation. It was like, wow, I have to learn to, walk again, and I have to learn to use my body and get it stronger. And because of that, the byproduct, yes, was the physical transformation and, the results that I started to see. But initially, it really did start from a rehab perspective of, trying to, build up my core strength again so that I wouldn't go into a back spasm every couple of weeks and end up back in hospital. And that is probably, I would say, my big why. And the reason why behind what I do is that when I say, you get to move, like I genuinely mean that. And I think as cliche as it is, it's like, we really do have one life and one body. And, it's like, I love getting the most out of people. Like when I really see, for example, a client come to me and they have this potential and I'm like, yes, like let's take this potential and let's create something from it. And I think it's seeing that in my own journey and then being able to translate that for clients and again, create that lifestyle evolution for them. Yeah. So that would be, I'd say, my why.
It's very rewarding in the fitness industry, isn't it? And I feel like it's quite thankful. People, when they get either, they lose a few kilos, or they even just get confidence and energy back to keep up with the children, or, they get their pull-ups or they achieve something, you sit there and you're like, they're so happy and excited, and you get that really warm feeling. Whereas I find there's a lot of other jobs out there that I feel, even the ones that I've had, that have been very thankless.
Yes, definitely.
And that's hard to stay motivated if you're not thanked in your job and things like that. So the fitness world is definitely one of those things where it's rewarding, I felt.
Yeah. And that's it. Like I'm literally like, I swear I get more excited than my clients. Like, yeah, it really is, like a mum for them all in a sense. Like, they get this transformation. And as you said, it's, it's not like just the physical. It's like, because they can then, take their kids out and go and run around with them, or they then start to be so much more confident in themselves and find, more self-love. And it's like, the physical is there, but it's that deeper sense of, the mindset work that I love to work with my clients on. and seeing that transform and seeing how, you know, ultimately, again, if you go back to their whys, it's that feeling that they're trying to chase of feeling good in their body, feeling confident. Again, I think fitness teaches so much that does translate into all those areas in life and how you show up and, you know, the person you want to become. And yeah, like that's the true transformation. Like it's so rewarding to see.
It's interesting. You're a fitness influencer, definitely in Australia. And I've been following you for many, many years when I first heard about you through friends. But there's often a lot of pressures to look and act a certain way online. And you've got many eyes on you. So how do you maintain authenticity and stay true to yourself while you're still growing your brand? Because there are going to be days where you're not feeling your best. And as you just alluded to, mindset is so important. And you are showing up for other people every day. But what about those days when you're not feeling your best? How do you keep going?
It comes back to relatability. And I think, again, it is like there are so many times, and you've probably seen my stories too. I'll jump on, no makeup, no filters, nothing. I know I don't look my best, but it's like old me might have questioned that, say 15-year-old me, even like back in those days. And especially, yeah, there definitely was a time where filters were such a thing, even on Instagram stories. I don't know if you remember, but actually I did a sort of mindset course on it. Well, not just filters, but on development, self-development in general. And I just remember like having this filter, and I almost got to a phase of I would take my like Instagram stories and talk, and I couldn't do it without having like a filter that honestly changed my face so much that I didn't like the way I looked on just normal camera. And I really had to work on that. So yeah, it was a really big learning piece, I think, for me as well. But I think, yeah, to bring it back, it's like, again, we are human. Like I'll jump on after I've just done my Stairmaster cardio, full sweaty, start chatting, my hair's crazy. And I really think that's part of, yeah, how people connect, especially, in online, like in that space, being a coach or being an influencer. You want to build trust in your audience. And if you constantly are putting up this facade or this like image, people can't relate to that. Like, I think that's really where, again, like whether it does come back to a business sense of you want to make sales, like, customers and clients, they want to have that know, like, and trust with you. So yeah, it's putting up like, guys, I'm not motivated today and I'm human too. And I, like showing your truths, people can relate to that. And I think that's so important. And, you might start small. It might just be little things on sharing how you're feeling to then, maybe showing up without makeup or putting, bad angles of you or something like that up might be a little bit far of a stretch initially, but it's showing that side, I think, is so important for sure.
I have to relate to that because I definitely use a filter.
Yeah.
But for different reasons, maybe not, I don't know actually, but because I'm getting older as well. So my skin's not as smooth as it used to be, and so definitely, and I guess your face has kind of changed a little bit too, particularly if you put on weight, you lose weight. And so lighting and angles, and if I'm not wearing makeup as well, like now, really change the way that you look and the way that you perceive yourself. And I think when we look at ourselves, we're the first ones to put ourselves down, definitely. So it's interesting that you talk about that because we're all doing it, and I'm guilty of it myself. And I like your advice there. Even though I tell other people to do this, I'm trying to be better at not using filters. Or even when Lauren puts up a marketing video of us and she goes, I know you don't like your arms. And so she's cut it off. And I'm like, thanks, darling. But we talked just yesterday. I said, you know what? I don't care. It is what it is. I don't want to false advertise. If it's not perfect or whatever, it is what it is at that time. And so we actually had this conversation yesterday, but it's a big one where people I don't know, is it just confidence? And we're constantly changing. Our bodies are changing as well.
Yeah. And it's
something for you to look forward to.
Yeah, no, and that's it. I think, yeah, I'm sure as you age or your body shape changes, like, even for example, when I go through my building phases versus my cutting phases, like, yes, it's so much easier when I'm, very lean heading towards prep, like, yeah, you've got the abs coming through, again, we're only human. But again, that's where I do try and force myself to show that, when I am in my build, like, guys, I'm uncomfortable here. Like I'm having to put on, extra body fat here and go through this phase and lean into that uncomfortability. And yeah, and really show that side. At the same sense, you can sort of play on, use the lighting well. And even right now, it's like, I've got like the lighting here so you can see me properly, and it makes you sort of, glow a little better. And yeah, I think there is that part of it at the same time. You can use those to your advantage for sure. But yeah, I think there definitely is that side of it of, again, practicing. Like, yeah, if you're going to, if we were to bump into each other in person, like I would see you for you. And yeah, I just think personally, I would hate for someone to come up to me and think I look completely different in person than I do online, And so, yeah, I guess it's almost like not trying to hide it so they get that shock when they see me as, I'd love for them to see me and it's like, oh, you're exactly the same. And, in personality, in looks, in everything, when they do see me in person or meet me in person. So
I love that. Tell me, what are some challenges that you faced in balancing your personal life with your, public fitness persona?
Some challenges. I mean, I think I really do try and just put out exactly what I'm thinking or in the moment, or, often a lot of my posts aren't necessarily scheduled because I just sort of, I'll take a photo. I'm like, yeah, I think that's good. I'll put it up. And again, that's taken time to build, I think, that confidence anyway. Like that wasn't always the case. Probably one of the biggest challenges is like a perfection around it and making it, especially now, it's like you've really, like as an online coach, you've got to wear all the hats, and now you're expected to be a videographer that has all the angles and takes all this shot, and the algorithm changes all the time too, so it's trying to keep up with that and make your content have the hook at the start and make sure that it's not too long and people don't lose interest and all these things. So it's, yeah, I think the biggest thing is probably more so, I would say, my perfection that comes into it, of like I really truly try and make sure that they, at least in some sense, have a value or are inspiring or education in some sense of what I'm posting. So yeah, I think it's like sometimes I definitely can be critical on, is this, ticking all the boxes that I need it to do? And then I can definitely get in my head of like, oh, was that, educational enough, or did I get that point across? So yeah, I would say that would be challenges for sure.
Where do you draw the line between being educational and maybe influencing people in this positive manner and, sharing parts of your personal life? How do you decide on what you're going to put out there? And have you got any rules set out with your partner or family that's like, hey, this is a no-go to discuss and talk about?
Yeah, I think for sure there's always, personal things that I think everyone should keep, I guess, to themselves in that sense. But I think also, I'm big on like promoting the lifestyle of it. You'll see my dog on my page, my boyfriend on my page, like my sisters, my family. So yeah, you'll see bits of that. At the same time, it is like I do use my page for that business sense. So it is a lot more fitness orientated. So, I won't necessarily like, I don't know, go and post me like at a festival potentially, or maybe doing like a makeup, definitely could put some stuff in there. But yeah, like I do try and stick to what my niche is as well. And I work with like a business coach that does do my strategy on that. So literally even in my strategy of what I need to do for the week, I have lifestyle posts like put in. So, if people, again, still want to know who you are and what you get up to, and people are nosy too. I think a lot of my videos that do well, they're like, what I do in a day, like, and I love watching that as well. So I think that's important to share, how you do your morning routine or what you get up to in a day, even though, my days to me might seem boring, but to someone else, they're like, no, I love that. So yeah. And it's funny you say that, because this is something I'd worked on with my business coach. Was a lot of my content previously, it's almost like it was really, in a sense, too influency, if that makes sense. So it's more, I was putting out like, motivation, but not enough education. So something I've really pushed the last, few months was, well, actually, like when you chat to me and, especially when I meet clients or chat with them on onboarding, like, oh, wow, like, your stuff, but that wasn't coming through on Instagram. It was too curated in that, and again, that perfection coming in. So yeah, really trying to bring in the education side of it and my knowledge and sharing that, so that, again, like Instagram really is your shop front, like as a business, no matter what field you're in. So making sure your messaging is aligning with that. And ever since changing that, like, literally like doubled in clients in the last few months since working with her. So it's been wild seeing that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. I wanted to ask a little bit, your dad is well known for his role on Shark Tank, and In fact, I had a meeting with him years and years ago when I was in an old business with different business partners, and he kind of gave us just an hour to give us some strategy, which was super exciting.
Yeah.
But I mean, growing up with that kind of entrepreneurial influence, what are some key lessons you've taken into your own fitness career?
Yeah, for sure. And that's it. Like, I mean, I love my dad so much, like, and my whole family, but yeah, dad is like literally my biggest inspiration in life. Honestly, one of the biggest things he's ever said to us is just give it a go. Like, have a crack. Go and have a crack at anything you're doing. And, you know, especially if you're passionate about it, that's number one. But that's been the biggest thing he's drilled into us, whether it's, you know, when I was a child doing sport, go and have a crack on, you know, I did every sport known to man, every instrument known to man in school. And then definitely getting out of school, I think I always sort of knew I wanted to be my own boss, probably because of dad and seeing the way he led teams and things as well. Yeah, I think definitely just like, you know, have a go. And if you mess it up, like, you're going to learn from it. I think the other side of it was him being that role model for me and knowing like, I want to create that for myself. And I definitely remember, you know, back again in year 11, but when I first started my fitness page, I used to get a lot of like, I guess, teased a lot for starting it, because back then, you know, I wasn't where I'm at now, you know, didn't obviously have my certs done or anything like that. And, you know, a lot of people back then were like, oh, like I started out with literally just like having a gym trailer and doing boot camps with women in the park. And that's how I started my coaching journey and PT. And I remember back then I used to get a lot of stigma of like, oh, your dad's just, you know, handing things to you and you're getting all these clients because of him. And that really, I guess, drove me, because I was like, well, no, like he's got nothing to do with it. You know, and that's why I have a business coach. And, you know, I invest so much in that, because yes, like he's there to mentor me, but yeah, it's like, you know, I think I really have that drive to create the success for myself with him as my lead, as my role model, more so than, you know, getting handed a silver platter. Like,
yeah, absolutely. I remember you, I used to follow you when you first started your page, and I remember the trailer that you used to that you used to drive to the boot camps and running those things.
yeah.
Putting everything online also is a motivator for you to keep chasing your goals. I know from a nutrition perspective for me, and when I had the gym back in Brisbane, I used to do like the Whole30 back then. So, you know, need to trim down. I'm like, I need to lead the way here. And it was a really good motivator for me to post my food online and share with people that journey. And I find sometimes oversharing, you know, with the public and people that are following you, because as you say, they are interested in what you're doing every day. It motivates you to keep going. It's that accountability piece.
Yeah, that's it. Like, it's really, you know, because I share so much, like, think to myself, that's often my drive and my motivator of like, well, I'm not going to tell them to go do something, and I'm not going to go and honor that and lead myself in that first. And, you know, whether like you're a coach and they're listening to this, or a business owner, it's like, where can you show that self-leadership and yeah, to influence, you know, who's around you? I think that's such an important piece to be able to master within yourself. You know, even the small scale of like snoozing your alarm or not getting your gym workout in, or whatever it might be. It's like, yeah, again, coming back to like, I love this quote of like, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So yeah, it really does translate into so many other areas of what you're doing, and how you show up as a coach, as a leader, business owner, you know, as a mother, whatever that is. Like, yeah, I think it's so important.
Fitness, like business, it comes with its fair share of setbacks. And I know even you've had a few of these along the way. Can you share one with us? And then tell us a little bit about how you overcame that.
For sure. I think like, yeah, definitely my initial accident was a huge pivoting point for me. Just really having to quit all my sports, go back to basics with it all. I know we've spoken a little bit on that, so I'll fast forward to my first bodybuilding show, which I was 18. So I was quite young to compete actually. And pretty much I did everything you shouldn't do in a prep. So I did the typical, you know, fish for breakfast and, you know, cheat meals on the weekend, because, you know, I was so good during the week. And then like literally didn't even have a training program to do it with. Just basically, yeah, everything you shouldn't do in a prep, I did. And then on the backside of that, I knew nothing about what a reverse diet is. And for context, for those that are listening, basically when we diet down, we need to do the same in a sense, as we come back out, because we can't just then go back to our old habits. In a sense, yo-yo dieting, where we, be really, really good, let's say, or really strict on what we're doing, get a certain result. And then if we just go pivot back to what we used to be and back to those old habits, like what they were, like, of course, our body is just going to go back to, how it was. And the scary thing actually is that when we do diet down, our adaptations, what happens is, and they did this study on rats, where it's not just that when we go into that starvation mode and then, increase that food intake again or binge out, say post-comp, it's not just that our fat cells increase, they actually duplicate. So that's where you see people, yo-yo dieting, and the cycle of it is that as they yo-yo diet, it gets harder and harder to then lose that weight because they're constantly in and out. And it's not just that, again, they're getting smaller, getting bigger. We're literally doubling fat cells the next time we then yo-yo diet. So that's important, to understand. And yeah, that was definitely a big challenge. My first reverse, not having a strategy after comp, and then putting on, I believe it was probably around 10 kilos quite quickly. I know I've definitely had girlfriends that have, put on more than that, but even, as a young girl at 18, like that's such a scary thing to go through. And I was, just seeing that shift and change in my body so quickly, because again, your body's just a sponge that wants to soak up, your like all the energy and the food, literally just so that it can survive, because it's been, starved, leading into a show.
What about another time, if I recall, you did all this hard work and you prepped so hard for this show and you're looking amazing, and then the show was cancelled. And like that is months of preparation. And as you say, sometimes and you don't mean starving in the sense that you're not feeding yourself, but you are restricting yourself and maintaining this discipline for such a long time, and you're looking forward to something, and then it all comes crashing down.
Yeah, exactly.
How did you get through that mindset of that disappointment, and then not just, and I don't know how you actually overcame it, but, not go and jump on the food train and start binging and going, you know what, bugger it, and I'm going to eat some pizza because I haven't eaten carbs in forever. And
yeah, that definitely was a huge challenge. And again, so to give the backstory, I prepped 3 times through COVID. So did one prep, and COVID kind of called that one off first. Then went, I believe it was about 6 months onwards, did another prep, and we got about 8 weeks out, and that was heartbreaking. And then again, COVID canceled that. So I believe that was 2021. And then did another prep. I think it was again, probably about 6 months after that, or maybe even a year after that, actually, the next one. I believe it was a year. So 2022, went to prep again. And then this time we thought it was all good. We got to 6 weeks out. They were like, we're going to extend the show. So they extended this. We had to keep going, keep pushing. I was already so close, kept going. We got to 3 weeks out, that same prep. And they were like, nah, we can't do anything. There's no events. We've got to call it off. And I just remember I was in my home gym doing a workout, doing hip thrusts. I was on the floor. And I remember looking at the I think Facebook notification from the federation I was with, and they put up, it's been canceled, because we were watching every day, what's happening? And that was it. It was so uncertain. So we had to keep pushing, as if the show was going to go on. And I just remember sitting there, barbell still on me, and crying for 3 hours, just with all the hard work that I'd done, and I think that point I was like, I really could have let that break me. I think I still definitely sat in that emotion and let that out for sure. And then I was like, you know what? I haven't come this far to only come this far. And that was a huge piece around it. A huge part of that was also getting on the phone to my coach, and Jason Tenkett. He's a, big leader in the industry too, and a huge mentor in my life as well. I've been working with him, I believe, for about 5 years now. So it's been a wild journey of, our start to finish. But my big drive, I definitely sat in that and had those emotions. But my big thing was well, I've got a standard and a lifestyle that I promised to myself. And I wasn't just going to be let this show, just because I couldn't get on stage doesn't mean I haven't achieved something incredible of pushing myself to that point. And I think it really does come back to loving the process of the prep. Yes, the show is, the cherry on top, but again, I'm a little bit crazy, and some of us bodybuilders are, but I genuinely love the process of it. And being process driven as opposed to results driven is in any fitness journey is really, really important. So because of that, I did still do a photo shoot. I celebrated my hard work. I didn't quite get on stage, but then finally last year, after 5 years difference between my start prep when I was 18 to last year, 2023, I got on stage and my drive was like, just get me up there. I need to finish this promise that I'd made to myself. And that feeling, just getting on stage, was so well worth it. It was a long journey, a long way to get there, but I knew that was like, no matter what, like one day I was going to get on stage. And that was the pink bikini that I wore last year. And yeah, it was just like, my drive for that comp was like, just get me up there. It's like, let me up there. So yeah, it was so tough, but taught me a lot for sure.
Yeah, and you looked amazing too. And I loved how you shared the photos from your first prep. Your first competition to the next competition, and the change in your body composition was incredible. And I think that's important to remind people too, is that the compound effect, like it's about consistency. And as you say, you show up every day, or maybe out of the 7 days initially, you're only doing 3 days a week, but you just keep coming back and you keep giving, as Dad would say, giving it a crack. And the results over time will compound, and you will see that effect, which is, when you show that photo, that's what I see is 5 years of consistency. And I'm sure like all of us, we fall off the rails a few times, but as long as we get back up and keep going, the outcome is always going to be better.
Yeah, 100%. Again, I encourage a lot of my clients, and we work on a lot of getting out of that all or nothing mentality of, I had one meal out. Oh, well, I'm going to throw away my whole week and start again on Monday. It's like, that's never going to get you anywhere. And it's like, if we can work on that and again, bring it back to, well, this is the lifestyle and this is the standard that I want to live at and the person I want to become, again, going back to identity change. And if you're wanting to achieve a certain outcome, well, then we got to start showing up as that person today. So, often like a sort of saying I kept saying to myself is like, what would a winner do? Like in this moment, what would a winner do? And like, and again, that winner concept can look different. Success and winning can look different in any eyes. And for me, that last comp really was like, winning is getting me back up on stage. It wasn't, it's not about getting first place, or anything like that. It was more around, I need to do this for myself and finish the job like I promised to myself. For sure.
And so you work with a coach, and you say it's about winning. What is winning for you? Do you reset your goals quarterly, monthly, annually? What does that look like, that process for you?
Yeah, actually, yeah, a great concept, again, from my dad, something he calls the 90-day reset. So he does this with a lot of his business clients as well. But you can apply this in life and business. So yeah, every 90 days, you look at everything you're doing, and it's like, what's working, what's not working, what stays the same, what needs changing. And yeah, again, you can look at that in your own journey of applying that to fitness, because, let's say, yeah, or for example, a comp prep, like that's very well mapped out to peak for a certain day. So everything we're doing is working back with that. And, yeah, I'm huge on getting mentors and coaches in your life, which is why I invest so much into that. And again, that's just how you can quite easily, in a sense, take jumps and get ahead of what you're doing, because these people have been there and they've done it, and they can, literally show you the roadmap and the path to do that. But yeah, pretty much I would say every 90 days is a good base, and then working your way back from there and breaking it down. Okay, well, what is it that I need to then do on the daily as a non-negotiable? And again, to relate it back to prep, like rather than looking, and generally I'll do a 22 to 24 week prep. If anyone was to look at that, be like, that's a long time, and it is. But again, I just look at each day. Okay, what are the boxes that I need to be ticking every single day to make sure I'm just that's getting the job done? And that's, and you build upon that. And like you said, let's say if you're, starting out in your journey, that might be starting with 2 to 3 30-minute workouts in 1 week. Amazing. Let's try and then build on that. So start conservative. And again, not all or nothing. We're not going to go jump in and do 6 workouts a week if it's the start. We want to build ourselves up and make it feel, fitness should fit your lifestyle. Like make it feel like it's something that, you want to do, and it's building on that. And yeah, and then just, revisit, cool, well, what we're finding challenging. Okay, well, what's triggering this, why I didn't turn up to the gym, or why I didn't wake up for my alarm. Cool. Let's work around how can we, make that an easier environment, or hold ourselves a bit more accountable. Like there's always systems within it, and then learning to be flexible in your day at the same time.
What you do to be so successful takes discipline, and you seem like you're very disciplined. Where has this come from? How did you become so disciplined? Because you're saying ticking boxes on a daily basis. Some of us are like, cool, we'll tick a box this year or this month. But how do you get so disciplined to do things daily? Is it from the childhood? Is it something, through accountability? Talk me through that process.
I think naturally, I would say, as much as the answer probably people don't want to hear, it is definitely always been part of my personality. And maybe, because it has been role modeled by dad. So even with my dad, he's like a part of, or a side of him that a lot of people don't know. Like, yes, he's this incredible, successful businessman, but he goes and runs ultra marathons, and he's turning 60 next year. Yeah. So he did, I think it was about a month ago, he did 75-kilometer ultra marathon, over in Europe. And I'm like, and he doesn't, just does it for its own self. So obviously had that in terms of building that or having that as a role model has helped. But in the same sense, you always, as a person, you've got to learn to be self-led in what you're doing. And like anything, like, yes, motivation, it's nice when it's there, but it's a fleeting emotion. It's something that comes and goes. And often, majority of us, we don't have it. Even myself, like, I live and breathe fitness, but there are plenty of times in my weeks, and I say weeks, not just often, like not just once off, like that I'm not motivated to go to the gym. Like, that's the last thing I want to do. But also, I think with discipline, it's again, coming back to those small daily practices of, again, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And discipline, it can be taught, and it can be something that, we can build. So again, just like in the gym where we use resistance to build a muscle, we can do the same thing for our mindset. Even in the small daily tasks, like it might be making a bed, and that's the start of building that discipline. So getting up and making sure you're disciplined in doing that. So starting on a really small scale of, well, what's, something really easy, just like that, or setting your clothes out the night before, so that is that flow and effect to get yourself up the next day and, get yourself into the gym. So, again, like definitely setting up the right environment so things are convenient, because again, we all are, like, as we are conditioned in today's society, we want convenience. So how can you set your environment up to support the goals you have on the daily basis? And then again, just at times, I think what's so much more important is, we all have those little, like, I call it negative Nancy, let's say, thoughts that come up, like, oh, just snooze today, you just want to rest, or just have, like your treats and things. And yes, of course, there's a time and a place for that. But at the same time, it's like, if we can learn to almost silence her a little bit more, or challenge her a little bit more, and build, let's call it our higher self, or, the standard that we're wanting to create, and build her up, then that's going to serve us so much further in the long run. So it's just daily practices of, little things of, again, make your bed, or do the dishes, or like go out for your walk and hit your steps. Like, be disciplined in the small things that are easy, and then build from that to, creating what you need to create to get that result.
Tell me, what's your Achilles heel? What's the one thing that can, that your discipline isn't as strong with regards to food, or
food?
A pleasure. It could be anything.
I think I'm definitely hard on myself. I think I definitely don't let myself get away with too many things. But again, that's been something I've built up over time. What is my Achilles heel? I'd probably almost say it's that I do too much, and that, like, I know it's not necessarily food related, and I think I am lucky in that I've never been food related, food orientated in my life as much. Or if there is something I love, actually, I do love a good caramel chocolate. That is like, that's in the category. My boyfriend, he brings it home and I'm in prep, and I'm like so angry because I just sit there and stare at him eating it. Yeah. No, I do love like chocolate, definitely. But again, I think it is like, it's out of sight, out of mind. So, and food is always there. Like, while I'm in prep, I'm very tunnel vision focused. Outside of prep, awesome. I can have the chocolate there, and I think, again, it's the importance of teaching yourself that having a little bit is okay. Like, I can, learning, can I have, a row, and that satisfies the itch, that gets the craving, but I don't need to have the entire block. And practicing that, again, building that discipline in that, I think is part of it.
That's, it's key what you've just said there, is it's not an all or nothing mentality. And that's what we're used to doing. It's like, if there's a chocolate there, I'm going to eat the whole chocolate. Well, it's okay just to have a nibble or a bite. And it's the same with, as you say, you throw yourself into a new project as well. Suddenly you've just lost all your time. You've cut away friends, family, and all the fun things and entertainment that you like to do because you're so focused on doing whatever a project might be. So, that can happen as well. And it doesn't need to be that way. And I don't want to call it balance, because I think that's just it's such a hard term to kind of
build on.
Yeah, it is, because I don't know, is there a balance? And what balance looks like for people is completely different. And I actually like, for my work, I like it to be part of my entire world. So I don't want to forget about my work whilst I'm on a holiday or whatever. I like to integrate the two, but I want to be more, I think what I'm trying to say is actually I'd like to be more present. So if I'm doing the work, I'm doing the work. If I'm with friends, I'm not worrying about the work, I'm with my friends, or, things like that. And that's what I would consider, balance, is being more present in the moment with whatever I'm doing.
Yes, 100%. And actually, it's funny you say that. There's a book called The One Thing, which is a very, I know, standard, I guess, like self-development book, but yeah, incredible book to read. And it talks about counterbalance. So what it talks about is there's going to be seasons in life that, like if, for example, you've got a business goal and you really need to work towards that, it's accepting that, yes, this season that I'm in currently there is going to be a bit of counterbalance. I am going to be more biased towards the business, because I think realistically, again, this might be an unpopular opinion, but I think if you're trying to strive for balance, you're never going to get to, extraordinary, or like, you're not going to get to that outlier. And yeah, like definitely that relates back to, being in prep right now. My focus, a lot of my time goes into this prep, and I don't have that balance of, the social life and catching up with all my girlfriends like I would like to, but I know that it's that season of time, and it's not permanent. And then, for example, towards the end of the year, Christmas time, when my prep's done, amazing. I know my priority is going to be a lot more focused on that and being a bit more social, and, not having to spend hours in the gym. But yeah, I think it's being okay that it doesn't always have to be balance. And again, something my dad talks about too. People ask him, how do you balance all this and, have your fitness and have your businesses and things. And yeah, again, this is probably something he's taught me. It's that counterbalance, and also scheduling. It's knowing, well, where in your week do you have the free time? Planning out, like I'm a huge Google Calendar advocate, and putting in, when am I working? When am I, doing my workouts? When am I spending me time? When am I spending time with my partner? When's date night? And yes, it might mean that, at the moment, we probably don't get as many date nights because we're both really building our businesses and very career focused at this point in time. But, talk to me in, say, a couple of years, and it's probably going to look so different. So I think, yeah, really being okay that, yeah, it's seasons of what we go through. And sometimes it can be a long season, it can be short seasons, but it's just knowing, like, to, again, coming back to, well, what feels good for me in this moment for this type of counterbalance. So,
and then checking in every kind of 90 days, which is what we do at the Sisterhood as well, actually, is we have the 90-day resets as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of our audience are, 35-ish plus, and, like many of us, a lot of us are struggling with motivation. And particularly when it comes to fitness, they're unsure where to start with their fitness goals. So what would you recommend to help them get motivated and then actually take that first step?
Yeah. Well, to come back to your question at the start, what's your why? I think if people can really figure that out, because I think there is a huge difference between, having goals of like, yes, I want to lose 5 to 10 kilos, but it's like, cool, but why? If you can really understand that why behind it, that's going to be your driving force to make you show up. Again, it's yeah, you really need to figure out, like, what's going to get you out of bed, what's going to make you, why is it you want to get to 5 kilos down? How am I going to feel? Is like, I want to be able to go out and spend time with my kids and run around with them and be active with them, and or be a good role model for them and show them that I do prioritize my health. And then to bring it back true and how to start small, make it feel so almost easy. Like, it might just be you get on YouTube and you search up some workouts and you do them at home, or it could be, that you like go down to a local park and you like do a lap around there. Like, again, starting small and then building from that. That's so key. And it might feel so easy at the start. It might feel like, what's the point almost? But that's what I do with a lot of my clients, that, yeah, that like, especially again, like fitness needs to fit into your lifestyle. And if you're a busy mom and, you know, you've got like, you're working your part-time job as well, and, you know, you've got kids to feed, it's like, well, we need to then work out a routine and a system that's going to work. And again, coming back to setting up your environment, like I love like those meal prep ready-made meal companies, you know, they're super easy. Like have a couple of them in the fridge, you might freeze them so you know you've got options, make it convenient. You know, your workouts, grab some, you know, Kmart has awesome like cheap dumbbells and booty bands, you know, set yourself up. We've got some home workout program, like, and yeah, it's just building from that. And then, you know, again, there's more than one way to skin a cat. So I think we don't have to all be in the gym, you know, 6 days a week. My fitness routine is going to look so different to yours, to my mum's, to my friend. Like it really is like, what's going to make you feel good, and coming back to that. And yeah, start conservative and then build from that.
One thing we haven't really talked about is, what is it that you do? What is your brand? Tell us about your businesses.
Yeah, of course. So I am an online coach primarily and a gym owner with my partner. So we're co-own BFT Chermside. And yeah, basically with my online coaching, I work with women, and that is more specialized in transformations and body recomp, as well as obviously the mindset side that ties into all of that. So yeah, I have my own training app, and yeah, work with all the beautiful women in there on my team. And then, yeah, obviously as like, aside from that too, with my partner and the gym, we work with a little bit more Gen Pop clients, you know, that want to come in, do the group training and have that space there. And it's, yeah, really nice to see them starting out in their journeys, or, you know, holding them accountable in that space as well. And again, I love the business side of it too, of, you know, that's been a journey the last year. We've only took over a year ago with this gym. And learning all about that in the back end as well. And yeah, so I really love the business side of it, but also again, seeing how much that can change someone's day and, you know, 6 months and yearly lifestyle, on both ends of the spectrum, you know, no matter if you're an online client or if you're, you know, an in-person gym client that we have. So yeah.
So tell me, Jess, what's next for you? Have you got any exciting, you know, projects or goals on the horizon?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm in prep again at the moment. So I'm prepping towards Bali, FMG Bali. So FMG is the bodybuilding federation that I compete in. So that'll be really exciting. So I'm 9 weeks out from that.
How long is prep?
24 weeks it'll be total. Yeah. Yeah. Well, 24 weeks is the prep. Obviously, there is the off season. So really it's almost a year round of, you know, you've got to do the builds before that. You know, obviously to actually change your physique, we want to be fueling our body well, eating in a surplus, you know, obviously, yeah, putting on as much muscle as we can. And then I compete in bikini. So yeah, then I will prep and basically diet down for the 24 weeks in total. Each prep will look slightly different for different competitors, but mine will generally look about 24 weeks. And then, yeah, try and peak for that one day pretty much. So that's probably my main big goal, or current self goal. As always, my girls in the online space and building that business out. And, you know, it's been incredible. As I said, yeah, doubling in clients in literally the last 3-4 months with this business coach. So yeah, I think the world's my oyster with that. And it's so exciting to see that growth. And again, just, I'm so passionate about, yeah, as cliche as it is, transforming people's lives, in that space. And what else is there? I have a retreat coming up that I'm a guest towards in Phuket in February. So that's with Women's Fitness Academy. They're a beautiful platform too. So they certify women for their Cert 3 and 4 to become PT, and then us as coaches and leaders that have been in the industry for a while go and help mentor and educate them and show them all the things we wish we knew, you know, when we were learning. So yeah, so that's also something I'm really looking forward to as well. Like, yeah, I love the education space. So would love to expand more in that as well, and, you know, help teach girls, yeah, on all different levels of like how to get to a certain result, whether it's in business or fitness or things like that.
That sounds incredible.
So exciting.
I'll tell you what, you're very firstly interesting to talk to. You're very well spoken. I love everything that you say really resonates with the Sisterhood Collective, just in the way that your thought process, how mindset is super important, that you reset not every 90 days, you chase goals, you reverse engineer everything. You're good at time blocking by the sounds of things. So, and these are all practice that you didn't have at the start. You've actually learned all of these along the way to create this amazing life that you have. But I also love that you inspire so many women just to be the best versions of themselves, to find that thriving version and then help them, work towards doing it, and not in a pressured way, just it's okay. Let's just do one little thing every single day and, and build on that. So you become better. And, that's kind of our ethos here as well, which I really love. But you are incredible. I've loved speaking with you today. And I love following your journey. I do like, by the way, I actually like your what I ate today days. They're my favorite days. I'm like, what is she eating? And then because I'm now in the UAE, I'm like, oh, we don't have that brand. Oh, we don't have that brand. And it's funny that people even care what you're eating, because macro wise, we're on different, diets, as you would call it, or nutrition plans anyway, right? Because I'm a little old lady these days and you're working towards a comp, but as you say, everyone wants to know your business. We're all a little bit nosy. So thanks for sharing it with us.
No, I love that. And it's so beautiful. Like, I love what you guys are about as well. And I think it's so beautiful that you've got this community that are wanting to better themselves. Like that's the start of it. And probably my biggest number one tip is just, try and get that little bit better, like building on those habits, that 1% better. Like Atomic Habits is a brilliant book to start with on your self-development journey. For those that haven't read it, that probably was one of the first books I read. And then just again, like just trying to think, how can I lead myself in the life I want to? What standard am I wanting to, live at? And then just try and start learning to become her now. Like that's the thing. You are her now. So, that's so important to hold close to you and know that everyone is capable of going after what they want. Like, always. So yeah, for sure.
Such good advice. And so if anyone wants to find out a little bit more about you, where can they go to find out, more, if they want to see what's on your plate like I do, to see what Jess is up to, but also your business, in case they want some advice there as well?
Yeah, of course. So Instagram, as always, Jess Richards Fitness. My business is lift.workout on Instagram as well. And yeah, honestly, I'm so happy for people to reach out and, ask questions. Let me know if they found value in today, hopefully. But yeah, probably I would say those are the main two. I'm on TikTok and all the things and YouTube, but that's probably the first thing to find me. And then they're all linked on there. So that's probably the easiest.
Cool. And we'll add them into the show notes as well for people. Jess, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us on the Sisterhood Collective podcast. Remember to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any upcoming episodes. And if you want to be the first to hear what is new at Sisterhood Collective, you can find out more on our Instagram, or you